Tim, have you seen the guys coming? I don't think. I was talking about
Well,
an upgrade,
yeah.
defensive line upgrade.
A major upgrade. Well, Tim, I think at linebacker, like you have some significant depth and quality. But in terms of all three position groups, like that is a wait and see. And I think the point I would stress, Tim, is player development. Like maybe you think about year one and trying to make this coaching staff had to evaluate which players were going to stay and which players were going to go. They asked a lot of players to leave so they could bring a lot of players in through the portal. And so, like, that was an extra layer on Alex Grinch's plate, Lincoln Riley's plate this past offseason in spring ball and on into the summer. So you don't have that extra layer. You're still making decisions about who stays, who goes, but you're now basing it on your own evaluation of players in your system as opposed to just looking at 2021 tape under Clay Helton, Dante Williams, and Todd Orlando. So I think that process of evaluation should be quicker. And so like there should be more time really getting the players that you have, especially those who are returning, to perform at a much higher level. So like player development, I mean, there's still a significant player acquisition process that needs to happen in the portal. As something I've stated before, you still have to get the bodies and the depth and the talent at a higher level. But assuming that you can do that to a certain extent, the major upgrade, Tim, is going to be getting players on a faster developmental curve, because we didn't see progression through the course of the season. We didn't see players getting better as the season went along. Certainly not after the Utah game in mid-October. The second half of the season was a period of regression, not improvement, for most of the players on this USC defense. So really the player development piece for this staff, that's going to play a role. I mean, it's not going to be the only factor, but it's going to be one pretty centrally significant factor in determining just how big an upgrade this new influx of talent is.
Roger Dodger, we know Alex Grinch can't take a historically bad defense in 2021 and make it much better at all by coaching. So USC needs auto defensive players that coach themselves. You got to think if they took one aspect of defense, and that be tackling in and of itself.
Really?
There are so many different facets to defense, but take just one, tackling. And I don't know what the metrics say about what a competent or capable defense looks like in terms of tackling, what that percentage is. But I know that USC was far below that, and they merely improved the tackling to be capable.
And I think the point that's worth mentioning here is that USC, you could see, and a lot of people who followed the team this past season, they would tell you that Alex Grinch taught players to make tackles or at least attack ball carriers in a way that forced turnovers. And of course, that was the one really redeeming quality of this defense. It was forcing turnovers. It was ball hawking, having a nose for the ball, having a way to get takeaways. Well, so Alex Grinch really needs to step back and reconsider how he's teaching players, because as great as it was to get all those turnovers and all those takeaways over the course of the season, like you need to realize that, okay, what happens when you go up against an opponent that doesn't turn it over? What happens when you go up against a rock solid physical team like Utah? Utah's the team that solved USC, beat the Trojans twice. What happens when Utah is not giving you the ball? What happens when Cam Rising, who, by the way, he's returning for another season? What happens when Cam Rising does not throw that interception that you're counting on? Maybe it's a calculus of, well, you actually shouldn't count on getting that turnover too much. Like you try for it. You obviously want to get it, but you really shouldn't bake it into your formula quite as much as Alex Grinch might have done this past season, you need to emphasize teaching for the takeaway less, and you need to emphasize, making the sure tackle more. I definitely think that there has to be a rebalancing of that particular tension point for Alex Grinch at USC.
It sounds much like a power hitting baseball lineup that swings and misses way too much, that when it faces inferior pitching can look mighty impressive because they can feast on bad pitching. But when it faces laser sharp pitching, then you would rather have a lot more contact guys than you would the home run hitters in the line.
To use a particular baseball turn of phrase, sometimes you have to go the other way. That phrasing applies on numerous levels here.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.